Hello, music appreciation class. It's Kurt. This is my discussion 5 post. As far as a checkup with how I'm doing great. The semester is coming to a close pretty soon. I just had a chem exam this past week. Did pretty decently on it. I just continue to, chug along in school and just keep going through the works. I chose the video response for this portion, and I'm going to be summarizing 2 of the blogs. I have my laptop right here because I have some notes that I want to read off of, like some main points that I want to get to. So yeah, let's just get right into it, I guess. Let's see. The first blog is named A Celebration of Works by Aaron Copland. It was posted November 17th, 2022 by our author, in this case is TJ Stone Cipher. I'm not sure. And then the second blog that we're going to be working with is called The Composer's Dilemma, also posted around November-ish of 2022, and also posted by TJ Stone Cipher. Anyways, so obviously this TJ guy, or girl, or whatever, likes to write. But anyways, The Celebration of Works by Aaron Copland. Essentially, this blog just explores kind of how music and, I don't know, imagination are reflected in his own musical compositions, right? Alright, here in the very beginning of the blog, we go ahead and reflect on one of the pieces that was wrote, and we analyze this piece. It's called The Cat and the Mouse, and this was an early solo piece of his. And it kind of really shows his fondness for like the jazz and the blues. What's it called? Though it was considered kind of an unconventional piece, I guess you could say, it did get some recognition, and that was kind of like the start of his career. Although Copland's original first work, or orchestral work, was called Grog. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that correctly, but this work really, I guess, brought out a lot of complex emotions. It had, but also it was a lot of simple melodies, so I guess it's complex, but it's simple. He also liked to use like more unconventional instruments, and that was kind of like a turning point of his career, kind of being a little bit more radical, I guess you could say, and experimenting more. Later on in the blog, it kind of shows us that he was influenced by the culture of Mexico and also the Great Depression. Those were like 2 major influences, like external influences. So while in Mexico, he adopted this essentially like folk melody and the simpler forms of music, although he had kind of already had it. And so this then shifted like his audience to be more focused on that type of music. He also did film scores. I'm not entirely sure what those are, but I assume they have to do some, obviously, with some sort of film. And he got an Academy Award for that as well. Although his most famous and most iconic work is called the Appalachian Spring. And essentially this was kind of like an American folk music, and he won what was called the Pulitzer Prize. But in the end of the blog, it kind of wraps up and tells us that his final piece, being Proclamation, kind of goes back to his more experimental roots, although this whole time he had kind of been doing some more basic work. Anyways, to continue, the next one, again, The Composer's Dilemma. And this one is more of like a philosophical debate, I guess you could say, whether composers should prioritize their own self-expression or if they should prioritize what the public taste is. We kind of reference back to Copland's reflections and how the Great Depression essentially influenced him, and how during the Great Depression people liked more simple melodies and they resonated with that more. And so he ended up, well, obviously performing for the public instead of for himself, even though he was more, I guess, artistic. The blog also kind of goes into like social trends and opinions, and how it even goes to show or references an example of how this one piece that was kind of essentially like suppressed is now in this day and age now widely loved. But at the end, the blog just goes on to say that essentially composers should be a true reflection of their own artistic self, and that even if you don't get the recognition that you want or deserve, like that should be you. As far as the Oxford portion of this, I wanted to know a little bit more about Aaron Copland. He was born in 1900. He lived 90 years up until 1990. He was a composer, a conductor, a teacher, or an educator. He had very American style music, as we were saying. What else do we have here? Yeah, his folk elements, his harmonies. And they really shaped a lot of the mid 20th century. Again, he has his famous works, The Appalachian Spring, The Rodeo, The Fanfare of the Common Man. Again, he made significant contributions to film music and was accredited for a lot of like popular stuff. He also received a number of honors during his lifetime, one including the Pulitzer Prize, an Academy Award, and the Presidential Medal of Freedom. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed the blog. That was just a little bit about what I read.